After a while, everyone's like, what are you doing? You're leaving 70 million euros worth of talent on the bench. Hi guys, and welcome back to a Q&A special. There was so much talk about Frank Lampard, Thomas Tuchel and Chelsea this week that we opened up the community tab for all of you and you left loads of questions. So here are just a few of them. Lazarus, first off, I said was getting, he's called him Will Tuchel here. I think it's probably Thomas Tuchel. Tuchel mid-season the best option, or should they have waited until the new season? Interesting one. There's no way that Chelsea would have got rid of Lampard without a person in mind. Like, they approached Tuchel like the day before sacking Lampard, but I'm sure that the team at Stamford Bridge would have definitely had an idea, and if they were going to do it, they were going to have a replacement. There's no way they would have got rid of Lampard and been like, what should we do now? And the season ebbs and flows, and they don't have a manager, and they get knocked out of cups, and they're out of the title race and whatever. They definitely would have had a plan in mind. I think it is the best option because someone like Tuchel would have been hot property, and I think a few other clubs would have wanted him. So to get him in now is a great idea. Like, yes, this isn't Tuchel's team, but it's still an insanely good team. Strive Samgia said, do you see Tuchel being able to bring the best performance, bring out the performance in the German duo? Everybody is talking about this. So many of you asked this question. I don't think it's quite as simple as that, as Werner and Havertz. Having said that, he does know their best position. He's very well accustomed to how they play. I'm sure he's also, I think more importantly than just these two, he's got a great relationship with Thiago Silva from PSG and with Christian Pulisic from Dortmund as well. So those two can't be underestimated, especially Pulisic. Since he joined, he's shown some moments of absolute class, really, really good. Hasn't hit a really sort of purple patch of consistent form. So I think him being reintroduced to the team is definitely going to help. As for Werner and Havertz, I think so. You'd like to think that he would know how to get the best out of them. Certainly having faced them on quite numerous occasions during his spell in the Bundesliga as well, and in the Champions League too. There's also a very small amount of a less of a pressure because he didn't sign them. Like, I couldn't help but think that when you saw Lampard, you saw his rotation, you saw his team, sometimes he felt a bit under pressure. He's the one who discussed transfers with Roman Abramovichs, who spent 200 million in the summer, who said, we desperately need Kai Havertz, we need Timo Werner, this, that and the other. So if he had other players who were playing well, like he did with Mason Mount, and he leaves Havertz on the bench, after a while, everyone's like, what are you doing? You're leaving 70 million euros worth of talent on the bench. Tuchel doesn't have that problem. He can just say, you know what, Havertz isn't my guy. Similarly, he could put Havertz in, leave Mount on the bench and say, yeah, Mount's not for me. That was kind of Lampard's player. So I think he'll be able to get the best out of them, but not just because he's another German player. Creeper Reaper X said, how realistic do you think the rumours linking Haaland to Chelsea are? Not very, unfortunately. There were rumours, I think I spoke about it last week, that the minimum fee release clause of Haaland of 75 million euros, which is a steal for a player like him, comes into effect next summer, so 2022. To sign him in 2021, clubs are going to have to pay more, well, negotiate with Dortmund, who are notorious for holding out, like we've seen with Sancho, probably pay over 100 million. I don't think Chelsea are going to pay that for Haaland, especially as they've just paid a lot of money for Werner. They've also got Tammy Abraham as well. And on top of this, once it is known, once it is common knowledge, Haaland's available for X amount of money, however much it is, 90, 100, 110 million euros. And once it's common knowledge that Dortmund are willing to sell, Chelsea aren't the only ones interested. The second that they know how much they can get Haaland for, City, Barca, Real, even PSG, heck, even Juventus, who knows, are all going to be interested in Haaland. So I don't think it's very realistic, unfortunately. Next up, Alex Campbell has said, do you think this proves that hiring club legends with little experience is the wrong thing to do? God, this is such a tough one. Honestly, the answer to this is, I don't know. Because there are so many conflicting examples. Lampard, bad idea. It turns out in the end. Arteta, not looking good, maybe a bad idea. Zidane, good idea. Guardiola at Barca, great idea. God, there's loads of others. Pirlo, not such a good idea at the moment. There's so many conflicting examples that I don't really know. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that's bang in the middle. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. There's thousands of others. There's so many examples, and you can't necessarily say whether it's a good idea or whether it's not. I mean, Eddie Howe was a club legend at Bournemouth and took them from League Two to the Premier League. So He's probably the best ever former player turned manager at his club relative to their expectations. Obviously, relative to other expectations, Lampard not winning the title is bad. But, you know, finishing fourth and getting to a FA Cup final would be amazing for someone who's, you know, in charge of a club that's not so big. I think it's very difficult to say. And also it's very, very, very difficult to compare how they were as a player to how they were as a manager, of course. So many amazing managers weren't players, so many amazing players weren't very good managers. The only one, Caden says, do you see Frank back at Chelsea in the future? And if so, roughly how many years? I've no idea. It'll probably be a long time before they give him a second chance. It really depends where he goes next. Loads of people are saying Celtic. I think that's more of like a dream move to face off against Gerrard at Rangers, and with Neil Lennon being under a bit of pressure. I don't think that's going to happen. Lampard, MLS, no. I mean, honestly, I could see him maybe taking a step down into the Championship again, sort of learning his trade more like he did with Derby. And where we see Wayne Rooney at the moment, another legend in management. And we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I think it'll be quite a while, if Lampard sticks out the whole managerial career thing, that we see him back at Chelsea. Neil has said, do the problems go much deeper than just a bad run of games? I don't see how they would sack Lampard if he was supposed to be a long-term project. God, this is a tough one. Yes, on the face of it, it is just deeper than a bad run of games, because any player, any manager, player and manager, can go through a bad run of games, then turn it around. Absolutely, for sure. There was a project, but I don't know what people are talking about so much with these projects in terms of how long they're going to last. Just off the top of my head, I know the Spurs project a little bit better. When Mauricio Pochettino took over the Spurs project, they were constantly Europa League, doing very poor, underperforming players, paying too much money for them. Took them from, you know, the Europa League to the Champions League finals, semi-finals of the FA Cup, challenging for the Premier League. That was always going to be a long-term project. For Frank Lampard and Chelsea, they've got the squad to compete for the title, definitely. They've got the money to pay the big players, which they did over the summer. They were in the FA Cup finals. Chelsea are sort of one step away from competing at the very top of European football. So effectively, this project is a 2-year project, pretty much. And yeah, that was kind of it. He's 18 months into a 2-year project. He looks nowhere near achieving anything. They're knocked out of the Carabao Cup. They are still in the FA Cup. It was Lampard's last game against Luton. They've got Atletico Madrid, very difficult. You can't envision them going far in the Champions League, and they're out of the title race. So yeah, effectively, from what they were last season, they're now on the way down. How long are you going to give? That is the difficult question. Obviously, not very long. Aditya Mujamdar said, do you believe that Abramovichs' management of managers is a good system, or is it harmful in the long run? Again, Chelsea just seem to have shorter projects. They don't have time. There's loads of people commenting, oh, they couldn't build a dynasty like Klopp, couldn't do this like Sir Alex Ferguson. Guys, this is modern football, and in all honesty, Roman Abramovich has the best system of managers in the Premier League. Why? Because since he took over in 2004, nobody's won more trophies than Chelsea. They've won the most amount of Premier Leagues in that time, with 5, the same as Manchester United. They've won the same amount of Champions Leagues as Liverpool and United, 1. They've also got to a final, so I think Liverpool 2 finals, 1 win, Chelsea 2 finals, 1 win, and Manchester United in that time since 2004. Liverpool 3 finals, 1 win, United 3 finals, 1 win. He's got the same FA Cups as Arsenal, Abramovich. A few less League Cups than Manchester City and Man United, I believe. 2 Europa Leagues. Guys, Abramovich is higher and far, and whatever you call it, at Chelsea has bought them, along with a lot of money and good players, but a lot of teams have a lot of money and good players, more cups and more trophies than anyone else. So technically, yes, I do think it's a good system. You come in, you win the trophies, and if you don't, you're fired. That's pretty much it. In terms of longer run, this has been 17 years now since he took over. An insane amount of trophies, so good luck. Sam Wallace has said, will Mount be able to get into the first 11? I personally think yes. Oh, well, Sam thinks yes. Ooh, this is a tough one. My gut feeling is that Mount will stay in the first 11 because it would send the completely and utterly wrong message from Tuchel. Mount has been arguably Chelsea's player of the season. He was just given the captaincy over the weekend. He's been scoring, he's been in fine form, getting into the England setup. Really, really a high point of Lampard's reign. It has been so good. To kick him out of the team immediately would send such a wrong message. It'd be like Tuchel being like, I'm here now, I don't care what happened before, get out Mount, I like my German guy Havertz. Done. That would be so bad. So I think initially he'd reward Mount's form, get him into the team, but ideally, I'm not so sure he'd start as much as he did under Lampard, and I'm not sure, if we're talking honestly about a best 11, Mount would make it in. And that leads me perfectly onto the final question from Joshua Wilkinson, who said, how will Chelsea line up under Tuchel? Now, this is the big question. This video is going out just before Chelsea play Wolves, so the 11 I'm about to give may be completely different, but of course there's injury suspensions, this, that and the other. We're talking about an ideal 11. Mendy in goal. He may give Kepa a chance every so often, but Mendy's got to be the goalkeeper. Reece James right back. You've got to go with Zuma's form has been brilliant alongside Thiago Silva. Silva, a good relationship with Tuchel from PSG, has been pretty good this season. Maybe Antonio Rudiger's got more of a shout now that he's back. And yeah, Ben Chilwell, left back, that's absolutely fine. The midfield is where it gets interesting. Klopp, even Thomas Tuchel, certainly a little bit with Mainz and definitely with Dortmund, had the gegenpress style. Very offensive, quick, fluid, attacking football. Not really sitting and soaking up the pressure, but certainly players that can run between the lines, and the ball carriers and the ball passers are absolutely key. Definitely in possession football. PSG, we didn't see that too much because asking Mbappe and Neymar to be counter pressing, gegenpress, hard-working machines just isn't really their thing. The width definitely was provided by the wing-backs at PSG, and then you kind of had a 4-2-2-2 with the likes of Di Maria, and Neymar just sort of had a free role. But certainly the midfield two of Idrissa Gueye, there was Herrera, there was obviously Verratti. Those are the guys that Tuchel brought in to be the workhorses, but they could definitely play. I'd see Kovacic and Kante in that midfield too. I don't think Mount has enough at central midfield. I think he's more considered for the number 10 role and attacking midfield role. I don't think Jorginho's got the physical presence or the work rate that Tuchel really likes in a central midfielder. Billy Gilmour looks like a good youngster. There's probably someone else I'm missing. But yeah, certainly Kovacic and Kante would be the midfield two for me. On the left-hand side, I think Christian Pulisic, I really think that Tuchel got so much out of him that Chelsea spent 60 million on him. So he obviously knows how to get the best out of the American. Him on the left, I think Hakim Ziyech on the right, cutting inside, lots of attacking width from the fullbacks, is really going to work well. Now, number 10 and the forward role. It's Mason Mount or Kai Havertz. In the long run, the best 11, I think it's going to be Havertz. I think we're going to see, much like we saw at Leverkusen, him behind a very dynamic, quick, attacking forward, like Kevin Volland, I think was the guy at Leverkusen. And Havertz runs into the box late because the defence is being stretched left, right and centre. If you were to play Olivier Giroud or Tammy Abraham, you'd have more of a target man, not so quick as Werner, who would almost drop off a little bit or have the defence static. The defence would be stood there wrestling with Giroud and Abraham. Doesn't leave too much for Kai Havertz space to move into. Timo Werner up front is going to be running in behind. The way that Tuchel plays with possession football, the darting run sort of inside from both the Ziyech and Pulisic creates movement. There's more space for Werner to run into the channels as well, coming off the wing. I think this space and havoc then gives room for Kai Havertz to play his best at number 10. I don't think coming in from the right-hand side really suited Havertz. And I don't think playing up alongside sort of Giroud or Abraham really suits him either. I really think this Werner stretching the defence with his pace, giving room for Havertz, is really the way forward. So yeah, Pulisic, Havertz, Ziyech and then Werner. That would be my Chelsea front line. Yeah, bad news for Mount, Abraham, Giroud. Having said that, there's still loads of competitions, loads of games for Chelsea to play, and I'm sure they will all switch around. There'll be lots of rotating as they challenge still on 3 fronts at the moment. Having said that though, you guys let me know your Chelsea 11 down below. Check out everything else you've got going on OneFootball, and until next time, I will see you guys later.